That's someone you're protecting.
They need you to stop looking.
Who's they?
This is a love letter to cinema, especially noir and my home city, LA. And John Sugar is such a complicated character that has so many layers. He's a part of the mystery himself. When you found out about Ruby, did you know the full scope of the character prior to reading the script? And what attracted you to the project?
Well, okay, so I'm going to take that in parts because I will say that not only did I not know the full scope of Ruby, I didn't know what the script was when I got on board. I hadn't received the pilot. So when I auditioned for the role, I only knew Ruby, essentially. I knew I had the sides that I auditioned with, and I knew from Sherry Thomas, who is our casting director, I knew what she had told me, which was essentially Ruby is to John Sugar what M is to James Bond.
Sure.
And so that was my entry point into who this character was. And from that, I kind of had to mine what I felt like the dynamic would be and the sort of power struggle that they had. And then I received, as I got on board, then I got the pilot. But there's so much that was unknown in this process because we were sort of, when I got the pilot, I didn't know what episode 2 or 3 or 4 would be. So I was sort of slowly uncovering what this story was, kind of in the same way that the audience gets to uncover what it is.
That is so interesting. So I'm sure when you got to that, to one of those, I don't want to say, when you got to one of those big spoilers, you were probably blown away. Now look, I love the dynamic between Ruby and Sugar, because I feel that like she's one of the only people in the show that doesn't have, or that Sugar doesn't have the upper hand on when they're conversing. Tell me a little bit about their dynamic between Ruby and Sugar.
Yeah, I think that the relationship between Ruby and Sugar is a really powerful one, in that it's one that exists with constant power shifts. I think it's never one thing all the time. And particularly when you see Sugar and the way he walks through the world, it's with such authority that I think what's really nice when you see him interact with Ruby is that, she is the one who often seems like she is in a position of authority, but there is still a vulnerability to her. There's still a softer side, and you can see that they have a deeply personal and professional relationship.
Absolutely. Now, Colin Farrell, he disappears in the role of Sugar. I think he's fantastic in this show. Can you talk about working with Colin and what he brought to the role of Sugar that wasn't on the page?
Yeah, I think that you get a script like Sugar, you see something like that, and I think you understand that it is a real feat to do a genre TV show, to really engage your audiences and to get them to buy into that genre, particularly because, yes, there are some people who are complete cinephiles like Sugar, but, in the real world, who have an encyclopedic knowledge of film noir. And there's other people that know nothing about it. And I think this show is kind of a crash course in the genre. But I think from the onset, that you need a really big, believable actor to be able to encompass this role, because this is not a small character. This is a really big character. And I think it needs to be handled with care and with an actor that really understands it, doesn't play at it. And I think when I watch it, at least, I feel like there's no one else who could play Sugar.
Yeah, it's crazy because I know it's Colin Farrell, but there are times where I just completely forget that it's Colin Farrell. I'm just watching this dude, John Sugar, go about his business. It's wild.
Yeah, you lose yourself in it. And I think that's really awesome, particularly for people who watch a lot of TV. I mean, for a living,
Sure.
It's really such a huge compliment to hear that you can lose yourself in this show.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I also love the fact that LA is a character in this show as well. What did the energy of LA bring to Sugar?
Yeah, LA absolutely is. I would say I have described LA as Sugar's Coley. The Sugar exists within this world so deeply, not only because it is set in LA and that's where our story unfolds, the story of Olivia Siegel, this missing girl, but also the fact that he is so in love with Hollywood cinema and classic Hollywood. So it feels like there is no other place that this story could take place.
Couldn't agree with you more. Look, fantastic job, Kirby. I love Sugar. It's an amazing show. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.